Welcome to another episode of Excel with Eric. Today we're going to talk about custom number formatting. So anytime that you have data on your spreadsheet, you can actually customize how Excel formats it and displays it. All you have to do is learn just a few simple codes and a little bit of syntax. And that's what we're going to look at now. Okay, we're going to look at three different ways you can do custom number formatting. The first way is to look at these employee numbers here. So these employee numbers are going to use this kind of a format. So it's going to be TK and then three numbers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to highlight this. We're going to type in just the numbers, as you can see here, but have Excel do the formatting for us. In order to bring up your custom format box, you need to click on this little button right here. This is the Format Cells Dialog Box button. So you click on that, you choose Number, and you choose Custom. And here's a ton of different custom formats that we'll talk about later. You will be able to read this here when we're done with this video. But to actually create your own custom format, you just highlight this type box here, and whatever you type in will be your custom format. And you'll get to see what it looks like here in the sample box. Now, anytime you want text to appear in your format, you must put it in quotes. So we would do quote, TK quote. Now, we want 3 digits after this. You can either put 999 or you can put 000. The difference is that 9 will not display as 0 if it's a leading 0. So for instance, in our little diagram here, we want TK023, TK105, TK002. So we want the leading zeros. So for our format, we will put 000. And you can see here in the sample, it shows you what it's going to look like. So quote, TK quote, 000 means 3 digits no matter what. And choose OK. And there you go. We've now formatted it. Very important. Notice that while it says TK02 here, it's actually just the number 2 that's in that cell. All that other stuff is just formatting. Alright, so let's move on to currency. Of course, you can always just click the dollar button here, and that will automatically put it into a currency format. But we want to kind of look at it and understand how the currency format works. So once again, I'll bring this up, go back to number, go back to custom, and here is an example of a currency format. So we have a bunch of goofy stuff here and a semicolon and a bunch of goofy stuff here. So the dollar sign is actually just a dollar sign. So that will put the dollar sign at right after the numbers start, or right before the numbers start. The pound sign, as we mentioned, is a digit, but it is not a 0 if it's not a leading 0. So obviously if we had 100, we wouldn't want 0, 100. So that's why it's a pound sign. The comma there, of course, just puts in commas, and Excel knows every 3 digits to put another comma. Pound, pound, again, non-leading 0 digits, and then a 0. So that if the value happens to be 0, or if it's cents, in this case there's no decimals, but if there's cents, you want to make sure that there's a 0 there at the end. So the pound 0. We'll talk about this underscore parenthesis in just a second. And then there's a semicolon, and then there's this. Now this is how the number is going to appear if it's negative. The first value is if it's positive, the second value is if it's negative. Okay? So it's negative, it's going to have the same formatting, except it's going to have parentheses around it. Now we could create our own custom format. We can say 0, semicolon, that's how I want the positive, and the negative I want to have the dollar, pound, comma, pound, pound, 0, close parentheses, and choose OK. And you'll see here that it formats quite nicely. But watch what happens when I make this a negative. Notice that the comma there is shifted a little bit to the left because we have to put in this parenthesis here. And because we had to put this parenthesis in, it's going to shift all the negative numbers over. They're not going to line up. And that is why we had that stuff at the end of it. Underscore closing parenthesis. What that means is the underscore says whatever this next item is after me, I need to put a space in that width. So we know that it's got to be the same width as a closing parenthesis. So this is going to automatically change this to put a space, the width of a closing parenthesis right after it. Now watch, when I choose OK, all these positive numbers are going to shift slightly. Chink. And now you can see that the commas there line up. So you can see that the underscore and whatever comes after it will shift everything over that width of a space. Okay? Take a look at this one. This one does the same thing, but notice it has red in brackets. You can put colors in, and it will automatically make whatever happens to be that value in that color. So we look here, we're saying negative numbers, because negatives come after the semicolon, are going to be in red. Down here you can see we've added 2 decimal places. You can of course add as many decimal places as you want. So that's what that underscore and then the parenthesis means. Now there's 4 different things that you can format. There's the positive number, then there's the negative number, then there's how the 0 will format, and then there's how text will format. A lot of times you leave the text part off. So whatever's in the first part of the semicolon is positive, the middle part of the semicolon is negative, the next one is a 0, and the next one is an @ sign or text. So let's take a look at this here. We'll click on here, we'll do custom again. So here's what I want to do. The positives, I want to have a % sign and at least a 0. So 0%, semicolon. The negatives, I want to be blue, a negative 0%. But the other thing is I want to suppress the display of zeros. If it's 0, I just want to leave it blank. Whenever you put a semicolon in and you do not have any formatting after it, what that tells Excel is I want you to hide that value. So positives are going to be formatted this way, negatives are going to be formatted this way, but hide anything that's just a 0. Okay? So we choose OK, and you notice the negative is blue and the 0 disappeared. It still has a value, you can see it up here in the formula bar, but it's not displayed. Again, because we had a custom format with a semicolon after the end of it, but no telling Excel how to format a 0. If for some reason you wanted to hide the display of something, so for instance maybe I didn't want that to display but I still wanted that to be on the sheet, you can create a custom number format that is just 3 semicolons. Semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. That means the positive isn't going to be formatted, the negative, the 0, and the text are all going to be hidden. Choose OK, and it's gone. Note that the data is still there. If I double click, you'll still see it, but it is hidden because of the formatting. So there you have it. That's custom number formatting for Excel. The key to remember here is you're only altering the way Excel shows your values. It is not changing any of the data on your spreadsheet, just changing how it looks. Alrighty? If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or send me an email. Visit my webpage if you have some suggestions for Excel with Erik. Otherwise, I'm Erik Dewey, and I thank you for watching.